Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Masturah Binti and my matrix number is 056166. My supervisor's name is Dr. Julaili Aida Binti Yusof. I will be presenting my final year project, which is Online Cervical Cancer Assessment or CCA. One of the most common cancer among Malaysians that has been affecting women's life is cervical cancer. This cancer is known to be called a silent killer. Nonetheless, there are multiple unusual warning signs that women can look out for when doubting cervical cancer. Early detection and giving an appropriate medical attention can help save many lives. Hence, it is compulsory to create many alternative ways and methods for women to get their health checked frequently. Therefore, online cervical cancer assessment or CCA is proposed. The system will be able to predict the risk of having cervical cancer among other benefits. So now I'll be presenting problem statement. The first is most of new cases diagnosed too late. Identified cases each year were already in very advanced stages. This makes the process of saving patients' life far tougher. The second is lack of awareness. Many people still are not educated in the topic, leading to women not knowing the severity of the disease. Thirdly, no method to check the risk. Women everywhere does not have many methods to have a diagnosis if it's not the clinic or hospital. Now it is the objectives. The first one is to study a system that provides all the information of the cervical cancer. Second one is to develop a system for users to check the risk of having the cervical cancer, where a result will be generated using rule-based method. Third is to test the developed system where users can get details about the nearest hospitals or clinics for medical diagnosis and treatments. The methodology used is agile methodology. It helps team to be organized when developing a better software. A feature-driven development that the team can adapt to the changing requirement dynamically. Major failures in the future can be minimized by testing the system on a frequent basis through the deployment iterations. The phases in this methodology are requirements, design, develop, test, deployment, and lastly review. The achievement I have gathered compared to the objectives are such. The topic of cervical cancer is thoroughly studied and plenty of information and knowledge is gained. This will be portrayed in the system. Rule-based method is researched and chosen to calculate and generate the result of the assessment in the system. And the last achievement is that while also planning to develop a system that can predict the risk of cervical cancer, this proposed system will also be able to suggest a list of nearest hospitals or clinics. Now it is the demonstration. This is the system of online cervical cancer assessment. The first is the homepage, which explains the assessment, and there's a button for users to click to start the assessment, and there's also an explanation of cervical cancer. There is a suggested YouTube video for users to listen instead of reading. Then the users can click on signs and symptoms, where the signs and symptoms of cervical cancer is explained using YouTube video where users can listen, or reading on here and seeing the images to understand better. Then there are causes of cervical cancer with images, diagnosis of cervical cancer explained using text and pictures, prevention of cervical cancer, treatment of cervical cancer, and history of cervical cancer. Now the users can start the assessment. Click the button Start Assessment, and it's stated that there are 20 questions and it is a multiple choice assessment. So start assessment. Here I will just randomly answer the questions. If the users want to change the answer of the questions, they could just go back and change and submit. I will just skip to the last question for the video. The last question, and we can submit. This is the result. The result is generated using rule-based method. It shows that the assessment taken is prediction is that it is extremely high risk of cervical cancer. Then here, users are given an option to take assessment again, or go back to the homepage, or read on the suggestions of hospitals to have an appointment. When users click, here are all the hospitals in Malaysia with the address. But if the users want to find from a certain city, they could just click on insert city name and just put, for example, Kelantan, and filter. Here are all the hospitals suggested in Kelantan. The last feature for users are to answer the feedback. Here on the bottom right is the button to feedback. Click on it, and users can rate the system. For example, we'll just put 9 and say I loved it, and just submit. These are all the features for users. Now I'll be explaining the features for admin. Admin can log in using the button and just put username, Occa and password and click on login. These are all the options for admin. They can add question to the assessment, update information on system, view feedback and log out. I will add questions now. Now the question number is 21st. Just put question number text. Test 1, test 2, test 3 and test 4. Correct answer and submit. So the question has been added. Now the admin can go back and update information on system. Here he could put 2 and put the date of today. Type is sign and symptoms and detail is test information added for now. I'll update the data. This is the validation for data updated successfully. And we can go back. Lastly, admin can view feedback. Here, these are all the feedbacks given by the users. But if user wanna find a certain feedback, they could insert the rating. For example, we put 9 and filter. All the feedbacks with the rate of 9 will appear. These are all the features for admin. Lastly, admin could log out. This is the system of online cervical cancer assessment. For the conclusion, after thorough researches and discoveries for the proposed system, one of the key findings is that rule-based algorithm can be used for significant systems that helps the community. Hence, the proposed system with application of rule-based can assist women everywhere as their first step of seeking help for themselves and ones around them. Although there are some limitations that are faced, such as not including any other type of cancers, which results in others not having a platform for a risk prediction for other cancers. Therefore, in the future, the system should include every cancer possible for the community to get their information and risk predictions.